Evening, Housemouse Reviews here, and let's just get into it. Spider-Man No Way Home. This is the film I think we're all looking forward to. Granted, as the world still continues to struggle through this pandemic, I think this is the one movie everyone was waiting to see. And you know, it didn't matter if Marvel fans were burned out from the disappointment of Eternals. It wouldn't matter. I think we're all going to go see this movie, and yeah, everyone is, and let me start by saying it is fantastic. 100%. I think this is what all the previous Spider-Man movies at this point in the MCU were building up to, and is well worth the wait. Even though we were a little bit cautious going into it, considering, well, it did get shifted around a bit with the timeline, probably, and not just from the pandemic, but also the split that happened in 2019 after Far From Home was released between Marvel Studios and Sony. But you know, they worked it out. They're on good terms now, and well, we'll discuss some more about the future later. So what is the story? So this takes place immediately where the post-credit scene from mid-credit scene from Far From Home left off, where Peter Parker's identity has been revealed as unmasked as Spider-Man by the press, and is being accused for what happened, for the events in Far From Home, and for murdering Mysterio. And the whole of New York City is torn whether they consider him a hero still or a villain. So it's a bit of half and half. Though he's able to get off the charges and return to his school life, it's clear that the fallout has had an effect on not just him, but also his girlfriend Enter, his best friend Ned, his Aunt May, as well as his bodyguard Happy Hogan. Sort of happy. To this, he decides to visit Doctor Strange to see if he can use his magic to make everyone forget that he is Peter Parker, that he is Spider-Man. But the spell goes haywire, and it ends up transporting all villains from both the Sam Raimi Spider-Man trilogy and the Mark Webb two films into the MCU, and now Spider-Man has to track them down and send them back to their respective universes. I'm not going to go into full-on the rest of how the story goes, but okay, I will say this. My only spoiler, and it's a no-brainer. Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield are in this. I mean, it's not really a spoiler. They were even before there was a brief period, if you recall, that the wikis, both Marvel, MCU, and even Wikipedia in the press, even stated that Andrew Garfield was in this film. So it was no brainer that he was going to be in it, as was Tobey Maguire. It's not rocket science. It was going to happen. But with that said, what they also add into it, we were just unsure whether it was just going to be certain characters or with who was actually going to show up in terms of the villains. And the villains they've chose are actually pretty good. It's a concept of who supposedly dies at the hands of Spider-Man from those films, even though it does retcon some events in those specific films, though I'm pretty sure fans wouldn't mind. So what does work in this is the acting. In particular, the main characters that we've gotten to know from the previous films. I mean, Tom Holland is definitely the best Spider-Man. Without a doubt, he is great, and I love him. He's just perfect for this character. Every other actor is great in this. Zendaya gets a lot of good moments. I think she shines better than Far From Home, honestly. Benedict Cumberbatch returns as Doctor Strange and giving us a taste of what we could expect next year with Multiverse of Madness. In fact, I just want to also say one more spoiler. There is a teaser trailer for Multiverse of Madness at the end of this film, so just saying that. The fan service, I mean, you see all these villains again: Green Goblin, Doc Ock, Sandman, the Lizard, and Electro. They're all back with the actors who played them from those respective films returning. So Willem Dafoe as Green Goblin, Alfred Molina as Doc Ock, you know, all of them. So they're all back. So yeah, the action scenes are great, which combines perfectly with the cinematography. You can't get enough of it. The direction by John Watts, I think it is. Yeah, John Watts, yeah, is great. It's probably unlikely he's going to do another Spider-Man movie since he's about to do the MCU's Fantastic Four, so hopefully the next person comes in, does a good job. And the emotional moments are really good. I mean, the climax itself, that final third act will have you leaving the film with at least come close to getting teary-eyed. There were two moments. I'm not going to say what they are, but they were pretty much in the third act, where things go haywire for Parker. And I think, in the characterization of all these characters, they're great. I love it all. If I have any nitpicks, they're minor, but I will say I'm not the biggest fan of the music. I mean it's fine. I really enjoy it. And I always get a kick off the MCU Spider-Man theme, but I don't know. I don't consider it as great as what everyone else is saying, at the very least. I mean, it's not into the Spider-Verse levels of music. But I guess what I really hope for is that we do get a sequel, considering, I mean, I'm not going to give the ending away, but for the way it ends, it could be considered as a way out for Spider-Man of the MCU, but I really hope we get a sequel. I really want more of Spider-Man. I mean, with the way this is ending up, I do think he will have a role to play in, say, next Avengers movie when Kang the Conqueror rises up and the multiverse becomes the main focus. I mean, and with the way we know things in Loki, with how where Loki is currently, how time works in his reality, it's easy to see that he could still bring Spider-Man in it, And I mean, I want to see more of Tom Holland's Peter Parker, especially now as we're out of the high school trilogy. Next up would be when he's in college, or now he's a young adult. So yeah, it's gonna be great to see how this works. I mean, it's not to say and with what we've heard, Kevin Feige's confirmed earlier today that there will be a Spider-Man 4, so good news here, same as Amy Pascal. And granted, we are also going to get an animated prequel series titled Spider-Man Freshman Year, which will deal with his early days of Spider-Man. Plus, we will probably see, along with whatever appearance, if he makes another appearance in What If Season 2, we're probably going to see the Spider-Man that showed up in the What If Zombies episode in the spin-off series of that same name. So, or Marvel Zombies, whatever. So, I want more Spider-Man. Keep him in the MCU. Have him show himself a bit in the Sony Spider-Verse films, not just animated, but also live action. I'm okay with that. Just keep him in the MCU, because I really know he's got to have a role to play in the rise of Kang, in the upcoming fights with Kang the Conqueror, at least in my eyes. But with that said, I really enjoyed it. Best movie of the year, hands down. 9.5 out of 10 has stars. Great film, well worth the wait. Watch it immediately. That's all I can really say. So, I guess it's now back to some Christmas reviews, which my review tomorrow will be the sequel to a film I reviewed last year for Christmas. That's all I'm going to say. So in the meantime, HouseMouse is out, and I'll see you for the next review. Ciao.